When Joe Rogan asked Zahi Hawass, do you believe in magic?
But if you believe in magic,
I do, of course.
you do believe in magic.
Yeah.
So you believe that someone could take someone's head off, put it back on.
It's written.
Okay, then it must be true.
Yeah.
What did you expect Zahi Hawass to answer? Of course he has to say, yes, I do. Magic is mentioned in Quran. And if he say, no, I don't believe in magic, he may face consequences. And so this made Joe Rogan take it against Zahi Hawass. Is like, how come you believe in magic and you don't believe in all those alternative theories? You are contradicting yourself.
Do you believe in religion or not?
Yeah,
Okay. Do you know about Judaism?
sure, a little
When
bit.
God told Moses,
I'm Theresa Khalil, a writer, documentary filmmaker from Egypt, and I spent in Egypt about 25 years, and now I live in Europe. My brother did the DNA test and he found that he is 99% Egyptian, so probably me too. 99%. So I'm hoping from this video to make you discover something that you didn't know about, or maybe you knew but you will see it in a different perspective. I'm also hoping to bridge the gap between the Arabic world and the Western world. I don't feel my best because I have flu. I claim that I have a unique view and neutral view, so let me tell you the story of Joe Rogan and Zahi Hawass. Why Joe Rogan invited Zahi Hawass to the podcast, and why Zahi Hawass accepted, why Zahi Hawass seems to be loud and mad and nervous.
How do you know?
I found all the evidence of building the pyramid. We published a book. Again, this is the most important thing. This is a national project.
Oh, I understand. It was very valuable to them. I just wondered what technology was used.
No technology.
Why he say all the time, I discovered.
What I discovered in the stone that I discovered. I want to show the whole world what I discovered.
Right.
And I discovered major important things.
Okay, to be honest, I don't follow Joe Rogan. I saw him on YouTube. He pop up in my feed all the time because he's so popular, as you know. But for some reason, I just wasn't interested in the topics that he's talking about. And this episode of the podcast was the first one I watched for him and Zahi Hawass. So you may tell me if my assumption about Joe Rogan is correct or not in the comment. I'm open always to changing my mind. Joe Rogan invited Zahi Hawass, according to what Zahi Hawass was saying on the Egyptian channels, about a year ago, through this guy. I think his name is Graham Hancock. So he contacted Zahi Hawass and he said, hey, listen, let's forget about the conflict that we had. Why don't you come to Joe Rogan podcast? There was an incident between Hancock and Zahi Hawass in the Mina house in Cairo, where Hancock wanted to talk about this Atlantis or previous civilization theory, and Zahi Hawass was like, I'm not into that, you know. He's someone who just make discoveries and he tried to conclude from those discoveries what he's not into debates, he's not into like connecting the dots, thinking I don't know, outside the box. And Hancock always wanted to drag him into that.
That case, I don't want to use dead. This man. And I am going to call. I want to let this man not to enter this country at all. Because he's a cock. It's not my own business. We should get. Please, I don't want to talk to you. Please. Leave me alone.
So I think it's like Hancock wanted to debate Zahi Hawass. Zahi Hawass didn't want the debate in the first place. And when he couldn't do it, he just couldn't let go. And so he invited him or lured him into coming to the Joe Rogan podcast, which has a lot of views and exposure. Then Hawass went with this idea that, okay, I'm going to promote my book, I'm going to promote tourism, because he was the Minister of Tourism in Egypt before, and share what I know, share my discoveries. But then he found that he's into this debate about, okay, now we have those theories, we have those scientists, we have those alternative possibilities. So Zahi Hawass is coming from a dictatorship background. So Egypt has a dictatorship political system where dictatorship has been ruling Egypt since the ancient Egyptian time, and you can see that pharaohs were dictators as well. So Zahi Hawass was the Minister of Antiquities, and sometimes they mix antiquities and tourism in one minister. And he took this position for a very long time, since the 90s and until maybe the revolution, which was in 2011. And so when he say all the time, I discovered, he means that he has been on top of the pyramid, metaphorically, when all those discoveries happen. So because he's coming from this dictatorship background, that's the way he speaks. Because anything happened in his era, it's for him his own accomplishment or discovery.
I did make 10 years of restoration on the Sphinx. It's me who did the restoration of the Sphinx for 10 years.
I see when I look at Zahi Hawass, he has been always passionate about Egyptology. Like, you feel it when he speaks. Yes, he's like nervous, he's mad, and that was the character that he took in few TV reality shows that he made on History Channel.
You listen to me. That is history, and I want you to learn.
But at the same time,
because on the Egyptian television, he is actually not like that. He speaks normally. The reason why he shouts and he's mad and he's, no, that's not possible. It's just come from this character that for some reason he found that maybe it is, I don't know, loved in the West or loved in that TV reality show, I don't know. And when I say dictatorship, people always take it as something bad. Like, everyone believes that democracy is the right way to go. But as someone who's on a journey to understand life, and as an observer of this mysterious experience we are in, I found that there is nothing that has only one face or one side. So dictatorship has its pros and cons, and also democracy has its pros and cons. And you can see, like now I'm in Europe and I see democracy. And I see that it's not perfect. It is not ideal, you know. It is just the best system that humanity came up with to manage their lives. So when we talk about dictatorship, you will find that being a dictator means that you stay in your position for a very long time and you have full control of everything. So when you look at Zahi Hawass and criticize him, you need to take this into your account. You need to understand where is he coming from and why he's saying what he's saying.
You will tell me how it was built?
Of course.
Okay. How do you know?
How do you know?
How do you know?
I found all the evidence of building the pyramid. We published a book, 1,000 pages. This book is the Bible of the pyramids of Giza Plateau.
Another thing I observed is that when Zahi Hawass came on this Joe Rogan program, and the next day Joe Rogan said that that was the worst interview that he had ever had on his long career as a podcaster, this made Egyptians attack Zahi Hawass like madness. And we have a proverb in Egypt says, if the cow fall, many knives come out, or something like that. So it means that people just wait for someone famous or have a position fall, and they all take out their knives to stab him. And this is something that I really don't like at all in humans. When they have no understanding and they have this like hate towards anyone who's in a position or rich or famous, and they just love when something bad happened to them. And it happened during the revolution. And of course, Zahi Hawass was one of the people who were accused. You know, they wanted to hang him in the main square. And since I was a child and I read the novel A Tale of Two Cities, where Charles Dickens was talking about the French Revolution and how they took the nobles and cut their heads, and the people were rejoicing and celebrating and taking the blood and put it on their faces as a bless. And I was a child at the time, but I thought that thank God I didn't live such a horrific experience, because I wouldn't want to be one of the nobles and I wouldn't want to be one of the people. But this is what happens all the time. People judge someone and they just want to kill him or hang him, and they have no mercy just because he said something that they don't like or he did something that they don't like, that actually will not affect their lives. I don't know, as I said, Joe Rogan, but from what I watch, it seems to me that he's so much into these alternative theories and the conspiracy theories and things like that. And it seems to me that he is more of inclining towards such theories. So you can correct me if I'm wrong. I watched the podcast episode with Zahi Hawass, and the thing is that I noticed that Joe Rogan was so calm and he would speak in a very soft voice, and Zahi Hawass was like so mad and trying to, no, that's not true.
They showed that it exists using the same technique.
No.
Jamie, pull up that.
This is wrong.
My assumption, or how I felt, is that Joe Rogan is not actually a calm person. I think he's just being calm because he knows that when you are calm, it just shows that the other person is in a weakened position. Yeah, tell me in the comment if I'm correct. I don't know Joe Rogan, so you can tell me. The shocking thing for me is that after Graham Hancock invited Zahi Hawass to the Joe Rogan podcast, and he went and they made the episode, and you see till the end Joe Rogan was like, oh, okay, nice to meet you, everything seems to be fine.
I'm not saying aliens made it. I'm saying it's very possible there's something else out there in the world.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, goodbye, everybody.
Enjoyed talking to you.
I enjoyed it too, and I'll see you in New York.
The next day, Joe Rogan said, this is the worst interview I've ever made. And as someone who has a podcast, so I have a podcast on this channel called The Scrapbook of Life, where I document my journey to understand life. I meet people who change their beliefs from any belief and religion to any belief and religion, and try to understand life through their eyes. At the beginning of the podcast, I used to interview people, and then I make another episode as reflection. And then, to be honest, I felt that it wasn't honest, because I felt I was talking about those guests that I had on the podcast behind their backs. So I changed that in the podcast, and I would just face the person and tell him or tell her what I think, and if I disagree with them, in their face. And I tell them what I think of what they are saying in their face. So I was so surprised that Joe Rogan do this the next day. He doesn't say nothing to Zahi Hawass, and the next day he say this and make the whole world turn against him. And especially in Egypt, people are just massacring Zahi Hawass because they hate anyway. They hate anyone who's in a position, and also if you are from the West, there is this in the West glorifying democracy and villainizing dictatorship, which, to be honest, in my opinion, dictatorship is not wouldn't affect your life if you are an average citizen, unless you have, I don't know, some political ambitions or something. Then it can maybe be a problem for you. But other than that, democracy, you saw in the West what it's doing. You have in America Joe Biden and Donald Trump. This is democracy. So I don't see, as I said, democracy is not the ultimate system. We don't. Humanity doesn't know yet what is the ultimate system to rule a society. So this reminded me of something that they do in Egypt on the Egyptian television under dictatorship. When they invite someone to the program and then they kick them out or they just insult them. And this is what Joe Rogan is doing in a democratic country. He invites someone to his podcast. He doesn't say nothing. He's so calm during the interview. He's like, oh, really? But I think the scientists don't agree with you, And this drives Zahi Hawass crazy. And then the next day, he doesn't say nothing to him in his face. And the next day, he say, this is the worst interview. Like, why didn't you just, if you really think it's the worst interview, couldn't you cancel the episode? And I'm talking as someone who has a podcast. I wouldn't do this to any of my guests. And guess what? I don't have much followers. So imagine if I had a lot of followers, I wouldn't invite someone and then the next day I would say, you know what, guys? That was the most terrible episode. The relationship between the Arabic world and the Western world is very complicated because on one side, the Arabs, they see the West as those infidels that God will burn them alive. But at the same time, they look at them as also developed civilization that they look up to. When Zahi Hawass goes on a podcast with a Westerner, and this Westerner come out the next day and say that was the worst interview, you are just stabbing him in the heart, because now everyone in Egypt and the Arabic world will take your word as God's word, you know? It's like, okay, Joe Rogan, he's a Westerner and he said this about our Zahi Hawass, then probably he's right. And because majority of people are illiterate and also they, I don't know, they're brainwashed, so no one will put effort trying to understand, okay, this theory, for example, what is right, what is wrong, what proof we have, what proof we don't have. They will just turn against the man and want to slaughter him.
Where they think that there's these pillars underneath the structure.
Okay. I investigated this. First of all, these two scholars from Italy, they have never been in Egypt.
Now we come to the theory that they were arguing about, and I looked into it and I found that there was this Italian scientist who came up with this radar thing. He's an engineer, and he's saying that he's able to detect things with the radar, and another scientist who's into Egyptology, he loved this method and he collaborated with him, and they both did this, and they are assuming that there is a structure under the pyramids.
I am not a scientist. I took these techniques that they used and I gave it to expertise. And they said, these techniques cannot show underneath a solid rock of almost 600 feet.
And what Zahi Hawass was saying is that this is not scientifically proven. And when I looked into it, I found that this Italian scientist, he did this on his own. He published these studies or this research that he's doing on a website, like Zahi Hawass was saying, that he pay for. So, you know, you pay and then you publish whatever you want. So it's not actually legitimate, and it's not, he didn't, maybe he's correct. Okay, maybe something of what he's saying is right, but he didn't make it go through the legitimate channels to be approved as a scientific theory or as a scientific method. Because this engineer, he has it on his website, and he also offer, if any country want to dig for gas or petrol or whatever, they can contact him and he can help them. But so it's just something that he's offering, but we don't know how legitimate it is. So in that, I don't see that Zahi Hawass was saying anything wrong. He said that he looked into it, he asked scientists, because, if he say I discovered, doesn't mean that he's working alone. He has scientists, he has teams, he's just, as I say, he's on the top of the pyramid. And he's passionate about Egyptology for sure, to be in it for that long time. And this reminds me actually with all the alternative medicine possibilities. I'm someone, if you don't know, I'm so open to alternative methods. And on this channel, I try Chinese medicine, and all the time I try German new medicine, and this channel, Unique TV, is actually all about alternative possibilities and everything that is unique and out of the box. So it's not that I'm saying that this is not true or that we need to shut it down or something, but I also am careful because there is a lot of scams in the alternative world, and this is what makes alternative theories alternative. That's how I healed myself with Joe Dispenza meditation, which I'm going to make another video about. Although Zahi Hawass is over 70 years old, but it seems to me that he's open to new possibilities of promotion. His goal from the interview was to promote tourism to Egypt. That's why he was inviting Joe Rogan all the time. How come you never been to Egypt? You should come to Egypt. So that was his goal, and also to promote his book. And because Joe Rogan has a lot of followers, that was, I think, tempting for Zahi Hawass, especially because he did also another collaboration a few months ago with Mr. Beast, and it was a huge success. The video has, 100 million views. It's like an invitation to visit Egypt. So I like about Zahi, although he's very old, over 70 years old, but he's open to collaborating with young people if it will open new possibilities or if it will match his goals. Another accusation for Zahi Hawass is that he's so close-minded, why he just doesn't acknowledge those alternative theories, who built the pyramids. And from what I discovered is actually how the pyramids were built is already known now. It's not a mystery anymore. And as Zahi Hawass said in the podcast, that they found the graves of the workers, they found papyrus, scriptures, things written on the walls, and all kind of pieces of puzzles that when you put together, it just tells you that there were no aliens there. And this is what I heard Zahi Hawass saying, is that if there were aliens or, I don't know, Atlantis civilization or whatever, you should find something that shows this. And to be honest, I don't see that if this is possible, like if there is this huge discovery that there were, I don't know, giant people who made the pyramids or someone from an oldest civilization or aliens or whatever, why would Zahi Hawass refuse to acknowledge that? No, he would acknowledge it and he will just say that he discovered it. That's the way it happens.
As I told you again, I always listen to what people say and I try to prove them if they're right or not.
I don't know if you agree with me or you disagree. I am open to your opinions down in the comment. But in conclusion, life is hard and I really don't envy anyone who would just have some interview or a podcast or something and say something or do something that turns the whole world against him. I just wish that people were more compassionate, understanding, even if this person is a dictator, even if he's rich, even if he's famous, which are things usually make people become so evil and so harsh against this person. So do you believe that aliens built the pyramids? Do you believe that no Egyptians built the pyramids? Do you believe that enslaved Jews built the pyramids? Do you believe that black people built the pyramids? Let me know down in the comment. Remember that you can sign up to my newsletter if you want to get updates from me every month. And also if you have something on your mind and you want to speak up in a non-judgmental space, I have listening sessions. I also have creative journaling circle where people can meet, relax, connect with themselves and with others. So check out the description box. See you in a coming video.